DJ, you go crazy.
DJUTV, let them know who we got in the building.
Dr. Umar Ifatunde, the Prince of PanAfricanism. Glad to be here.
Dr. Umar, what you on, gang?
I'm well. Glad to be back in Chicago. There's a migrant crisis town hall meeting tonight. So I'm going to go there and speak a little bit, hear from the people what's really going on, because the country want to know. Me personally, I believe the migrant situation in Chicago and New York is being led by the federal government. They're spearheading this to basically erase black people politically. Chicago has the only predominantly black U.S. congressional district in the entire country. That's why Obama had a lane. Carol Moseley Braun had a lane. Most of your modern black senators, we've only had a handful. They came from Chicago because y'all have the only predominantly black U.S. congressional district. So they want to switch that out for Latinos. That's why they're here, to replace us politically. I suspect that at some future point in time, if they're not already doing it, they're going to fast track the migrants of Chicago and New York to full citizenship so they can vote. And I wouldn't be surprised if they'll be eligible to vote in time for next November's presidential election. This is a purge of black by brown, and this is a takeover because Chicago and New York are our two strongest and largest black communities and black consciousness communities. So they want to blot that out. The strategy is if we can take New York and take Chicago, the rest of black America doesn't stand a chance.
Well, we definitely having a terrible migrant crisis here in Chicago. But first of all, welcome to DJUTV.
Glad to be here. DJUTV.
Yeah,
glad to be here.
It's definitely a blessing to have you. On our channel, we cover a lot of Chicago drill-related content.
Okay.
We like to throw a mix of intelligent conversations in there, from time to time, especially toward the end of the year.
Yes, sir.
Last year, we attempted to have an intelligent conversation with Charleston White, and he pulled a gun out on us. So this year, we want to do something different with yourself. So can you start by telling us where you're from, Dr. Umar?
North Philadelphia, born and raised, across the street from, down the street from Bill Cosby, across the street from Meek Mill. He and I were not friends. He was friends with my younger brother. I'm obviously a half generation older than those guys, but that's my neighborhood. Jill Scott, I come from that neck of the woods right there.
So can you tell us what it was like for you growing up in Philly?
Poverty, same thing that y'all probably deal with in Chicago. In fact, right now, I just read an article, very unfortunate to read it, that Chicago and New York has a black male homicide rate that exceeds that of U.S. soldiers stationed in places like Afghanistan. So black men are dying quicker in Chicago and Philadelphia than overseas in the military. Sorry to hear that, but very violent in Philadelphia. Philadelphia leads the nation in gentrification right now. And whenever you find a black city that's dealing with gentrification, you're also dealing with an intensification of conflict. Why? Because when you gentrify, you force enemies into a closer proximity with each other. So for example, if you take Chicago, look at the sections of the city that white people are taking back. If you had a gang over here and a gang over here, okay, and by gang, I don't necessarily mean your traditional gangs, but just a set, drug set, whatever kind of set. And now the white man has come in and forcibly move these black people out through real estate tax, eminent domain, or whatever. This gang that was 40 blocks away from you, you didn't have to see them unless you wanted to. They didn't have to see you unless they wanted to. But now, guess what? Where they hung out at, that's been reclaimed by the whites. So they have to move closer to you. So the reason why you see an intensification in violence in all the cities where there's gentrification is the gentrifiers don't care about community conflict. They don't care about gang zone. And so what's happening is we're being forced to operate in the same neighborhoods. And that's another reason why we see such a drastic spike in crime in Chicago and Philly.
Can you tell us when did you first take interest in Pan-Africanism?
Yes, sir. 4th grade. My parents divorced when I was in the 4th, 3rd or 4th. And where I lived at in North Philadelphia, we was living in Carolina with my father for a while in the military. When we came back to North Philly, I was born in North Philly. We came back to North Philly. As you know, your elementary school is assigned based on your address. Mm-hmm. And so the George G. Meade Elementary School that I attended at 18th and Oxford Street, named after a Caucasian Civil War general, it just so happened that year that I enrolled in the 4th grade, or my mother enrolled me there, they had a Black history class. It was not citywide. Philly would be the first city to institute mandatory Black history, but it didn't exist then. It just so happened that that white principal and that Black vice principal somehow, some way gave us a Black history class, 4th and 5th grade. They took it away in the 6th. So for those 2 years, Mrs. Green, who was the Black history teacher, she was my introduction into Black culture, Black consciousness, and public speaking. So there was a Black history public speaking contest, which I entered both grades, 4th and 5th. So 9 and 10 years old, I won first place. I never shut up since. And right around the corner from that elementary school, coincidentally, was the international headquarters of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League. So this is the Marcus Garvey movement, the organization that gave us the red, black, and green flag, largest Black organization of all time. Malcolm X come out of there. Elijah Poole, who became Elijah Muhammad, came out of there. Many of your other Black nationalist organizations' leaders were members of the Garvey movement. And ironically, where my mother bought my shoes from, my sneakers, Hollywood sneaker store, no longer stands, was right next door to the Garvey movement. So my entire childhood, my mother was buying my footwear right next door to the Garvey movement, but I never knew it was the Garvey movement because it had no sign. So when I graduated from undergrad, Millersville University, Lancaster County, PA, I get back to North Philly. I'm walking up the street one day because I was a member of the NAACP of Philadelphia. I started the college chapter at Millersville University, and I see Garvey's picture in the window. I see the red, black, and green. So I'm thinking some new people just moved in with some consciousness. Elder Johnny Gossett walks out, rest in peace to him. He's an ancestor now. In fact, all the elders who raised me in the Garvey movement, all but 1 or 2 are ancestors. And he said, "Can I help you?" Because I'm staring at the picture of Garvey. And I said, "What's going on in this building?" He said, "This is the UNIA ACL. Come back at 3 o'clock. We'll teach you all about it." So when Mr. Garvey started the organization back in Jamaica in 1914, the mass meetings were held Sundays at 3 o'clock, and they still are more than 100 years later. So I came to the mass meeting. I was, I want to say 22, 21, 22. This is right after the Million Man March, maybe a year or 2 after the Million Man March. And I went there and I never left. And so here I am. I've been a member for about 25, 26 years. In the Garvey movement, just like Malcolm, just like Elijah Poole, just like Carlos Cooks, just like many other people who came to the Garvey movement, it was the foundation of my public speaking career because my first out-of-city speaking engagements were done on behalf of the UNIA. And so then shortly after that, 2005, we're at the African American Museum in Philadelphia downtown, and myself and Dr. Julius Garvey, he's the younger son of Marcus Garvey. He's a thoracic surgeon in New York. There was an exoneration program to clear Marcus Garvey's name from the illegal charges placed on him by J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI in the early 1920s. Because although President Calvin Coolidge commuted his sentence in 27, which resulted in his deportation, they never removed the charges. So Dr. Garvey, his son, is still working to get those charges off of his father's name. So as a member of the UNIA at the time, I was Minister of Education and first vice president for the Philadelphia division. That's when I met Dr. Garvey. I was at the exoneration program. Young brother was there, said you need to go to Africa. I ended up going to Africa the next year, come back from Africa. I quit as Minister of Education and first vice president, still remaining a member. And 5 years later, I come to Chicago. Brother Dawa Yisrael, rest in paradise to him. He passed away last year, I believe. He said, "You need to come to Chicago. I got a public access TV station. I can't get you up here, but I would love to interview." So I flew to Chicago, September 18th, 2010. That's the anniversary of Booker T. Washington's Atlanta Cotton Exposition speech. We did the interview. As we're leaving out, I asked Brother Dawa, I said, "Can I have a copy of that interview on a DVD?" Brother Dawa said, "This is the only one I got." I said, "No problem. Mail me one later." Then at the last minute, he said, "You know what? Take this one." He gives me the DVD. 6 weeks later, I'm speaking in Harlem, New York for the first time. National Black Theater, 125th and 5th. This is where Garvey, this is where Malcolm, this is where most of the Pan-Africanists had their start. So I have copies of the Chicago interview, September 18th, in my hand, October 30th, the night before Halloween in Harlem. And I disseminated that DVD there. And overnight, I became the biggest name in Black consciousness. 13 years later, I'm still the biggest name in Black consciousness.
Now, I want to just break down some of what you just shared with us. You kept mentioning UNIA.
Yes.
Which stands for Universal Negro Improvement Association.
And African Communities League, 7 letters.
Right. And can you kind of elaborate on exactly what Pan-Africanism is for those that don't know?
Absolutely. I would summarize Pan-Africanism in 4 principles, right? Number 1, all African people are one family. Whether you're light skinned with straight hair, whether you're dark skinned with nappy hair, whether you're in Brazil speaking Portuguese, whether you're in Chicago speaking Ebonics, whether you're in London speaking the King's English, whether you're in South Africa speaking Zulu or Nigeria speaking Igbo, if you're in Kenya speaking Maasai, we one race. It don't matter what the religion is. It don't matter what the nationality is. It don't matter what the complexion is, the hair color, one people. And we believe that we should identify as African people first, above and beyond anything else. So you're not a Christian who happens to be black. You're a black man who happens to be a Christian. And why is that? You chose Christianity. People leave the church every day. People leave the mosque every day. People leave the Jehovah's Witness temple every day. People renounce their U.S. citizenship every day. People become citizens of countries they had no affiliation with every day. But what is the one thing you belong to that you can never change? It's your racial group membership. And who chose your racial group membership? Almighty God. So for us, being African is the most spiritual and it is the most sacred identity you can have because it was fixed by God and you can never change it. So that's number 1, African identity. To that point, we take issue with the current so-called Native American movement against African people in America who say, I'm not from Africa. I was already here. I'm a Cherokee. I'm a Choctaw. I'm a Seminole. This, we completely reject that foolishness. Even though you might have a Native American ancestor or two, I have some Native American ancestors. But guess what? If you have 4 grandparents and 8 great-grandparents and 16 great-great-grandparents and 32 great-great-great-grandparents and 64 great-great-great-great-grandparents and 108 great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents, how many of them was Native American? You're telling me all 108 of your 5 times great-grandparents were Native Americans? That's an absolute lie. You might got some red in your family tree, but most of your family tree is black. If you so Native, why do you look like the same people in Nigeria? If you so Native, why do you look like the same people in Kenya? If you so Native, why do you look like the same people in Togo, in Benin? The Native Americans don't look like you. You look like African because you are an African. But all throughout our history, we have movements that have come up that sought to give black people a false identity because we hate who we are. So for us, we African. We not accepting nothing else. We want, and we will reject everything else. And that also goes for our mixed race brothers and sisters. We accept them. You got a white mother, black father. You got a black mother, white father, but you identify with the race full time, not just on the weekend or at the Dr. Umar lecture, but full time black. We accept you because some of my greatest heroes was mixed race. There's even an argument historically that the great Nat Turner could have been mixed race. So we don't reject people for how they come into the world because you have no control over that. But if you're going to tell me at the same time that I'm not black, I'm mixed race, I'm biracial, I'm quadracial, I'm going to reject you because what you're looking for is a special privilege for the white blood you got in your body. You ain't get no special privileges here. All African people are equal, no matter how light you are, no matter how dark you are, no matter how educated you are, no matter how uneducated you are. If there's any privilege that's going to be given in this movement, it's going to be based on your works to liberate African people, not because of your skin color or your ancestry. So identity. Number 2, self-determination. Everything we do as African people must be done by ourselves. We don't allow non-blacks in our organizations. We don't allow non-blacks to give us money. As you know, I'm working on the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. No non-black money. Why? Because we have to do it ourselves. Why? Because if I build that school and white people gave me the money to build that school, how can we celebrate that as a black institution? Okay, white people built half of our HBCUs. White people built the Urban League. White people built the NAACP. If we really want to be an independent people, if we're really tired of slavery, why are you still looking for your oppressor to finance your liberation? White people will never finance your liberation. If they was interested in financing your liberation, you'd be free already. So self-determination in all things. That includes building family. And that's why we reject interracial relationship. No snow bunny hopping at all. Black family is black man and black woman, and that's the only family that we can accept because marriage is a financial arrangement. Women live longer than men on average. I marry a snow bunny, I die, she gets my bag. Is she going to give any of that money back to the community? Go and ask Kobe Bryant's widow. She ain't thinking about using none of that black man's money to help the black community. Go ask Marvin Hagler's widow. She ain't thinking about using none of that man's money to go help the black community. A white woman married to a black man is still a white supremacist. And that's why I take issue with Shannon Sharp and Ocho Cinco. I love them as black men. They my brothers, but I take issue because you have black boys looking up to you and you're telling them it's okay to publicly declare that you don't date nothing but white women. That's not acceptable, Shannon Sharp. Now, Ocho Cinco hasn't said that, but he does tend to bunny hop. We need brothers to stop bunny hopping because it's not beneficial. Only 1 out of every 4 black women gets married in this country. Every time a black man goes out the race to find his partner, you're abandoning another black woman who has a God-given right to have a husband and to build a family. So if we really care about our people, there's no way under God you can tolerate interracial marriage. It's not about hating white women. It's not about hating white men. It's about loving ourselves. Charity starts at home. And if charity starts at home, the black family needs to be built by black people. So that's number 2, self-determination. Number 3, as Africa goes, so goes all African people. This is important because in America, what do you hear Negroes say? Why are we worrying about Africa for? We got our problems right here in America. Well, guess what? You don't stop fighting in America. You fight where you are, but you also keep a vision to what the greater goal is. All people's respect that is accorded to them in this world is a reflection of the respect given to the international homeland. I've been everywhere in the world except Australia, where I'll be next spring. Wherever I go in the world, Chinese are respected. If I'm in Jamaica, they're respected. If I'm in Cuba, they're respected. If I'm in London, they're respected. If I'm in Austria, they're respected. If I'm in South Africa, they're respected. Nowhere I go are Chinese people treated like an afterthought. Nowhere I go are European Jews treated like an afterthought. Nowhere I go, Anglo-Saxons are treated like an afterthought. But everywhere I go, even in an all-black country like Suriname, South America, or Turks and Caicos, the Caribbean island, or South Africa, or Togo, Benin, Gambia, Malawi, everywhere I've been over the continent, black people are treated like an afterthought, even when we are in the numerical majority. Why? Because Africa is not strong. She's the richest continent. She's the most minerally rich continent, but she doesn't control her wealth. The white man does it. Colonialism ended. Neocolonialism runs Africa to this day. So when people look at us, they don't see no American. This is what Negroes get wrong. They don't see no American when you walk down the street. They see an African. They know exactly who you are. And the level of respect that they give you is a direct reflection of the level of respect that is given to all African people. White people don't put black people in groups. No race divides any race up into groups. The respect you have for Chinese people, you have for every Chinese. The respect you have for Jewish people, you have for every Jewish person. And the disrespectful attitude you have for the African continent is automatically affixed to every African on the planet. Nobody can escape it. Not Jay-Z, not Oprah Winfrey, not LeBron James, not Puffy, not Kanye, not Diddy. Nobody can escape the badge of dishonor that is given to their people. They're just protected because they're corporate commodities who are necessary for the European capitalistic model to exist and thrive. Once they're no longer necessary, they end up like Bill Cosby or R. Kelly. And the last point for Pan-Africanism, and there's many, but the last one, your God better look like you. Marcus Garvey started a doll factory in New York in the 1920s. This is before the Brown versus Board of Education Supreme Court decision. This is before Thurgood Marshall and Charles Hamilton Houston took the racist segregationist school districts to federal court, getting school desegregation outlawed in America. Brown versus Board, May 17th, 1954. 30 years before that, Marcus Garvey had a black doll factory because he said our children constantly looking at Europeans was breeding inferiority. Well, what happens 30 years later? In court, Dr. Kenneth Clark, one of my psychological forefathers, he shows in court that segregated education was harmful to the psychology of black children using the doll experiment. He gave black children white dolls and black dolls. Which one is ugly? Which one is more likely to be more successful? Who do you want to be? Garvey knew that 35 years before Kenneth Clark, and he was not a PhD in psychology. But getting to my point, God must look like you. Because if God doesn't look like you, you're automatically indoctrinating your children into inferiority. If I go to church and I'm told God is white, if God is white, if the Savior is white, if the one and only Son of God is a Caucasian and you teach a black child this, if God is white and you are the opposite of white, you automatically by contraindication is the devil. But not only that, if God is white, then all white people must be godly. And so divinity gets extended to the president, to the judge in court. It gets extended to the police. It gets extended to the business owner, because if God is white, maybe God put all white people in charge. So that white Jesus image that was created in 1482 by Leonardo da Vinci, 10 years before Columbus set sail to the New World, has been the worst weapon used against black people, and it still is. I guarantee you I could go throughout Chicago and find white Jesus still hanging in black people's homes. When I go to Africa, white Jesus still hanging in black people's homes. When I'm back home in Philadelphia, white Jesus. In the Caribbean, white Jesus. That has brainwashed us on a subconscious level to feel inferior to white people. Because if man is inferior to God and God is white, then the black man must be inferior to the white man. Until we destroy artificial European images of supreme consciousness in front of the eyes of black children, we'll never destroy the inferiority complex of black children.
I hear you talk about Marcus Garvey a lot, so I went and picked his book up. It's called Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey, and it talks a lot about the Pan-African studies and history. So Pan-Africanism come from Marcus Garvey teachers? Okay.
Pan-Africanism predates Marcus Garvey.
Okay.
In fact, Major Dr. Martin Robinson Delaney, he's the one who came up with the quote, "Africa for the Africans." This is before Marcus Garvey was born. Remember, Martin Delaney was the first black man admitted into Harvard Medical School. Now, W.E.B. Du Bois being given credit as the first black to get a doctor from Harvard, but he wasn't the first one admitted. Major Dr. Martin Robinson Delaney is the first black man admitted into Harvard. This is during slavery. This is the 1850s. Du Bois not even born yet. And this black man is admitted into Harvard Medical. But guess what happens? The white students at Harvard Medical protest him being in the program. They said, we're not going to come back to class unless y'all get rid of him. So Harvard Medical expelled Martin Delaney on the protest of the white students. But he still went on to become a medical doctor. He became the first uniformed officer in the Civil War. First officer in the history of U.S. military was Major Dr. Martin Robinson Delaney. He co-edited the North Star newspaper with the Honorable Frederick Douglass, but they split because Douglass was what? Radical integrationist. Martin Delaney, Pan-Africanist. Martin Delaney said America will never accept the black man. So he split with Douglass and started re-editing his own paper, which was called The Mystery, because he was an early Mason. He was one of the early fathers of the Black Masonic movement as well. We don't know about Martin Delaney. America keeps him hidden. But guess where he was the last time I saw him? On a Super Bowl commercial. This past Super Bowl, the pregame, they showed a picture of Martin Delaney in the corner. Why did they show that? In my personal opinion, I believe that that was a signal from the U.S. government that they're paying attention to the Pan-African movement because it's the only threat to this. And they've said this themselves. There have been security documents that have stated the only threat to America's global interests is the organized political, economic, operational unity of Africans in Africa and Africans in America. They don't care about no Christianity. They don't care about no Islam, no Hebrew, no Moor, no Nawapian, none of that. Respect to everybody else. But the only threat to white supremacy is global Pan-African unity. And that's why Kwame Nkrumah, Patrice Lumumba, Sekou Touré, Amilcar Cabral, Dedan Kimathi, and all the great Pan-Africanists of Africa, we hold them up, not just the one on this soil. But getting back to your question, Pan-Africanism predates Marcus Garvey's birth, which is 1887, okay, by over 100 years. Before Garvey, you had Henry Sylvester Williams, the first black man to use the word Pan-African. Before Garvey, you got Martin Delaney, as I mentioned. Before Garvey, you got Henry Highland Garnett, the first black man to give a speech in front of the U.S. Congress. This before Garvey. Alexander Crummell, who built the first intellectual society for black men. Okay, he's before Garvey. Edward Wilmot Blyden, who came to America from the Caribbean islands to get a seminary degree, but because of racism, he was rejected. He goes to Liberia, ends up becoming Secretary of State in Liberia. So no, by no means is Pan-Africanism living it to Garvey, but Garvey is the greatest of them all. Okay, you see that? Michael Jordan did not invent basketball. He became the greatest of them all. Garvey became the greatest of them all. And why is that? Why is Garvey greater than any Pan-Africanist before him and any Pan-Africanist after him? Because Garvey did what none of them could do. He gave Pan-Africanism a worldwide movement of 13 million people on every continent, every major country, in every major city, raising a red, black, and green flag all at one time and saying, we are African. It was never done before Garvey. It was never done since Garvey. The Honorable Marcus Garvey put ships on the water to build a global international distribution network for African people. Never been done before, Garvey. No black leader has tried to do it since, Garvey. Marcus Garvey is the only leader to give us a mass global organization without the need to exploit black people's religious beliefs. Everybody after Garvey gave you a religion. Islam, Christianity, Hebrew, this, that. Garvey didn't have to do that. The Garvey movement was based on African consciousness, African culture, and African liberation. No religion.
I want to read an excerpt from this book. It says, the rich Negro is not philanthropic to his race. And excuse me if I said that word wrong. Y'all know I don't know how to read. But he does not proportionally give to or help his racial institutions as the white people of wealth do. People like a Rhodes or Rockefeller or any other rich white person will create foundations, schools of research and science, clinics, hospitals, or scholarships. But the Negro will prefer subscribing or donating to these white institutions to show off rather than do for his own race. Now, I'm not gonna lie, when I first read this, it did make me think about like the thoughts or opinions you got on Deion Sanders. Because he left, you know, HBCU to go to a PWI and coach football. But when it says the rich Negro is not philanthropic to his race, he does not proportionally give to or help his racial institutions. Is that something you agree with?
Absolutely. And he wrote that over 100 years ago. And to give you the backstory in the Philosophy and Opinions, when Marcus Garvey was arrested on fake charges of using the U.S. mails to defraud investors in connection with the Black Star Line steamships. And by the way, J. Edgar Hoover got his first job in the Bureau of Investigation. It wasn't even called FBI yet. It was just Bureau of Investigation. J. Edgar Hoover was given his first job to infiltrate and destroy Garvey. That's his first job. The first full-time black undercover agent was hired to infiltrate and destroy the Garvey movement. That book that you're reading from was compiled by Marcus Garvey's wife, Queen Mother Amy Jakes Garvey. She collected all of Garvey's writings, all of Garvey's speeches, and put it into that book to raise money for his trial to try to get him out of jail. So had it not been for him getting arrested, and had it not been for Queen Mother Amy Jakes Garvey compiling all of his writings and speeches, we would not even know that about Garvey. So that's the backstory. But getting back to your point, he's 100% correct. Look at all the billionaires we got. I just named some of them. Can you name a single institution, relevant institution, not a barbershop, not a restaurant? Nothing against barbershops and restaurants. We need them. But nobody's not going to die if they don't eat at a restaurant or get their hair cut. You understand? The critical institutions are the banks, the supermarkets, the hospitals, the schools, the manufacturing and the distribution. Every people needs those. Like Garvey said, when you go to the European race, they finance each other. You go to the Mexicans, they finance each other. You go to the Arabs and the Chinese, they finance each other. They're rich people finance the people on the bottom. You don't see that in Black America. I just saw an interview where somebody was talking to a European Jew. You know what he said? He said, the reason Jewish people celebrate their billionaires is because they know when one of us becomes a billionaire, several of them are going to become millionaires automatically. You see that? If he's rich, I know I'm getting a piece of it. So the wealth of one is automatically the wealth of all. You don't get that in Black America. Jay-Z's money is Jay-Z's money. LeBron's money is LeBron money. Oprah Winfrey, the richest woman in the history of the North American continent, black or white, Oprah hasn't built a single institution in America for black people. Nothing would be more embarrassing than if Oprah Winfrey leaves this earth. And I wish nothing on it because I love the sister. But when she goes to her ancestors, she's going to leave probably one of the biggest estates in human history. And you never use none of that money for your people during your lifetime. All these celebrities we got, they don't do nothing. What are we celebrating right now? 50 years of hip hop. This whole year has been a celebration of 50 years of hip hop, and nobody has had a conversation yet. Has hip hop benefited the black community? Overall, has this been a plus or has this been a minus? Now let's go to the institutions. Hip hop is the most influential musical form in the world right now. 50 years. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry, of course, dominated by European Jews. But yet and still, many of these artists are very wealthy. Not a single institution has come from hip hop in 50 years. Am I supposed to ignore that? Am I supposed to act like these young brothers out here who pushing death and destruction, sexual exploitation and miscegenation of black women, These young brothers who out here pushing drug selling, going to jail, and everything possibly illegal to children, I'm supposed to believe that this was a blessing to the black community when you brainwashing our kids, and on top of the brainwash, on top of the toxic content, you don't even come back to the community and do anything good for it except give out some damn turkeys and sneakers. Are you kidding me? With the type of money that hip hop has generated around the world, there should be at least 25 Black Wall Streets in America right now. Chicago should have a Black Wall Street. LA should have a Black Wall Street. Atlanta should have a Black Wall Street. Memphis should have a Black Wall Street. Milwaukee should have a Black Wall Street. Little Rock should have a Black Wall Street with all the money that these gangster rappers are making, and yet and still they do nothing for their people. That is what Garvey is talking about.
Yeah, and you would think after all that we done been through that will come a day in which we'll unite some way, you know.
No, and I'm going to tell you why.
Yeah.
Because it takes love to unite. It takes anger to react. Trayvon Martin, we reacted. Michael Brown, we reacted. Breonna Taylor, we reacted. Philando Castile, we reacted. Sandra Bland, we reacted. Tommy Rice, we reacted. Dante, Amir, we reacted. And we needed to. Rebellions are important. You understand? Riots are important. Revolutions are better. You know why we never get to the point of revolution? Because in order for that rebellion and that riot to become a revolution, the people involved must be committed spiritually to the liberation of their people. A riot and a rebellion is nothing more than a temporary temper tantrum. It's a temporary temper tantrum. That's not going to change nothing. You need revolution, sustained activity. But the problem is, black people are not motivated by love. We're motivated by anger. And that's why you only see us get political when white people piss us off. If white people ain't pissing us off, we could care less what white people do to us. But when you piss us off, like taking the life of one of our loved ones, which should piss us off, the point that I'm making, before they killed your loved one, we should have already been policing our own community so nobody has to call 911 in the first place. You see how that goes? See, love, when you love your people, you build and do for them before there's a crisis. You see how that goes? When you've taken care of your child, you educate them because you know they're going to need it later. You feed them because you know if you don't, they will get sick later. You're going to teach them who they are because if you don't, they're going to be brainwashed later. Because you love that child, what do? You solve problems before they even show up. Black America never solves problems before they even show up because you need love to solve a problem before it even shows up, and we don't have enough of it.
I agree. Can you tell us how has your mindset evolved over the years in terms of your approach to addressing educational and mental health disparities faced by African-American children?
How has it evolved? That's a great question. I'm sure it has. I probably can't point to specifically how, except to say that what I knew to be true 20 years ago,
still true.
I really know to be true now. You follow? Like I knew we needed our own schools for our children. But when Barack Obama came and dropped off that LGBTQ bomb in a public school, I said, we really need our own schools now. And you know what's so sad about that? With all of the brainwash going on in the schools right now, with all the brainwash, black people are still not in a rush to open up their own schools for their children. I'm the only person I know of in the country, who's building an independent school without no white money, no government funding, no white corporate handouts, in a real school building, not a church front, not a basement, not a storefront, that's going to educate black children into who they are without no participation from their oppressor. I don't see nobody else doing it. People talk a lot about the LeBron James school. LeBron James don't have no damn school. I keep telling Charlemagne this every time I'm on the Breakfast Club. They keep bringing up LeBron. He don't have a school. That's a public school with his name on it. And speaking of LeBron James school, did you see what happened a couple months ago? They got called out because for the past 2 or 3 years, not a single 8th grader in the school, I believe it was, passed the Ohio State math assessment. Now, mind you, LeBron pumping millions in here. You feel me? He pumped, so they can't use the excuse, we ain't got enough money. Y'all get more money than the most schools. Not a single black boy passed the 8th grade math test at the LeBron James public school. What does that tell you? It tells you that paying white women more money to teach black kids ain't gonna work. Because if they don't care about your damn children, it don't matter how much money you pay them, they still not gonna learn. Why am I bringing this up? Because the white teacher unions of America is constantly saying, if you want us to do a better job teaching black kids, pay our teachers more money. Well, look at the LeBron James school. They getting more money, still ain't getting educated. Black children can only be taught by black people. It is unfair to ask a white woman to educate a black child. You know why? Because to ask a white woman to educate your black child, do you know what you're asking her to do? You're asking her to put my child in a position to take a job from your child. You're asking her to put my child in position to take food out of her child's mouth. What person is going to empower another group to take power from their own group? It is an absolute contradiction to have white women teaching black children. But you know why they do it? Because number one, black people don't love themselves enough to build their own schools. And number two, white people know that as long as white women are in charge of black education, there'll never be an intellectual revolution.
So what motivates and drives you to continue to advocate for African-American children education?
My ancestors. Right before I came here today, I went to the Ida B. Wells gravesite. I'm going to have to go back because I had another interview I had to hop on, so I didn't get enough time. But everywhere I go, every city, man, I go pour some gin at the ancestors' graves. Because as someone who practices traditional African spirituality, we believe our ancestors are always with us. They are the angels. Okay, our ancestors are our angels. So I'm always calling on them because I don't really have nobody walking this earth who I can look to as a role model. The ones who I think could be role models, they don't do anything. And the ones who are actually out there prominent amongst the people, they're not really sincere. They're just money grabbers. So for me, I got to look back to the ancestors. So when I'm in Africa, I'm at Shaka Zulu gravesite. You understand? I'm at the Nnamdi Azikiwe gravesite. I was in Jamaica this past spring. I'm at Garvey gravesite. I'm at the Bob Marley house. I'm always looking for inspiration from the ancestors because I judge myself by their standard because there's no standard that exists right now for me to judge myself by. So I don't want to let them down because in my tradition that I practice, we come into this world with a purpose. Every one of us got a purpose for being here. You got to find it and you got to fulfill it. I was lucky enough to know what my purpose was in the 4th grade. I decided I wanted to be a psychologist in the 3rd grade. I came into black consciousness and public speaking in the 4th and 5th grade. I found out I was related to Frederick Douglass in the 6th grade. So by the time I left elementary school, I knew I would be a freedom fighter for my people. So even with all the college degrees and all of that, it never took me. I know why I'm here, and that's the fight for the liberation of black people. I have no confusion about my being. So I could put up with the slander. I could put up with the sabotage. I could put up with the white racism. I could put up with all the setbacks with the FDMG Academy because I know this is why I was born. I know my purpose. And when you know who you are and what you are here to do, nobody can deter you from that.
Yeah, I was definitely going to ask, like, how do you handle criticism and pushback regarding to your ideas and work?
Well, it's all indirect criticism and slander. There's never been a scholar to challenge me, black or white, publicly. They can't. There's not a black scholar who could go around with me in anything serious as it pertains to the liberation of black people. Nobody on the planet could stand up against me. None of them. They think they can. They can't. That's why they don't come for me because they know better. They'll get that Garvey grenade. But the thing is, the support is 50 times stronger than the hate. Mm-hmm. So if you go on YouTube, you see 1 million hate videos, right? This YouTube struggle streamer, this YouTube struggle stream. So it looks like Dr. Umar got all these detractors. But if I had all them detractors, how did we raise all the money and buy them schools? How did we raise all the money and renovate them schools? If I got all them detractors, why am I the most requested black scholar in the world? Not America, the planet, for 13 years. It's never been done before. I'm the first ever. You see that? So if I had all this hate, how am I where I am? You see what I'm saying? The problem is the hate gets all the attention. The love don't. You know why? Because my supporters are mature people. They don't have time for the bullshit. You see that? The haters are immature people. They got time for the bullshit. My supporters don't get involved in that. People say, what you do with the school money? People want to know. People like who? Because all my supporters, they talk to me direct. My number public. I talk to my supporters all day long. They email me. They inbox me. So the people who rock with me, they good. It's the haters who got 1,000,001 questions because they don't want to see you succeed. And it's a shame because I think we're at a point right now in our sojourn in America as black men where some of us would rather see another brother fail than thrive, even if what he's working for is for the greater good of the community. I'm seeing people destroyed on the internet, separate from myself. They can't destroy me. I'm on a mission from God. But I'm seeing other people being destroyed on the internet with the scantiest of proof. Why y'all tearing this brother down? He got a family to feed. He got a career. Y'all keep doing this, they're going to fire him because it's not a good look, even though the information is false. We don't care. You got a whole community of black men on YouTube who are so dissatisfied with their life, they've dedicated to destroying the lives of other black men, and it's a shame.
That's a fact. So can you discuss any personal experiences that have shaped your current mindset or strengthen your mindset?
Wow. 1 million of them. If I take education, right? And of course, I'm a certified school psychologist. My doctorate is clinical psychology. I get stories from black parents damn near every day about what's happening with their children. You feel me? So every day I'm reinforced that my work to save our children is something that's necessary and valued. So next week I'll be in Memphis, Tennessee, which is Queen Mother Ida B. Wells' earlier home. She was born in Memphis, but of course she got to start born in Mississippi, but she got to start in Memphis. And I'll be doing a Black Parent Boot Camp. I got to come back to Chicago and do it too, because I haven't done it here. A boot camp is a training I do for 12 hours where I teach Black parents how to advocate for their children. So we go through all the special ed law. We're dealing with the law. We go through the 504, the psychological eval, the IEP. We go through autism, the learning disability. I basically teach them everything they need to know. If they master what I give them, they'll be sharper than any educational attorney. I don't do it often because it's a 12-hour training. So I'm on my feet. It's very labor intensive, but I'm going to be doing that in Memphis. I got to come back and do it in Chicago. But to get back to your question, how do I remain motivated? It's because I get the stories. Not only do I get the travesties, I also get the testimonials, you see. So I'll get a text message from a mother who say, Dr. Umar, thank you for taking time out to talk with me yesterday because you saved my son. I didn't know what to say when I got into that meeting, but because I talked to you first, I was able to stop them from expelling my boy. You see what I'm saying? Well, I get testimonies from Black boys who say, yo, you're the reason I ain't went back to jail yet. I had an elder. This is true. God is my witness. I had an elder. I can't remember if it was a text message or a phone call. You know what this man told me? He's probably at least in his late 60s. I think he might have been in his 70s, somewhere about. He said, Dr. Umar, you're the last hope I have for Black people. This is what he said. He said, you better not be a phony and you better not be a fucking sellout because you're the last hope I got for Black people. Everything in me wants to quit. I'm paraphrasing him. He basically said, everything in me wants to quit, but I'm listening to you and I think you real. You better not be a fucking phony because if you fail us, I'm out. I don't know if he meant suicide. I don't know if he meant he giving up, but that elder said, you it. I'm watching you. Don't fail me. Don't be like these other phonies on YouTube. You better be the real deal. So the point that I'm giving you, bro, is I get feedback daily from my supporters, haters too, but mostly supporters that really inspires me to keep on going. For example, I show up to a lecture, right? And somebody will be there with a life-size painting of me. I don't even know this person. This has happened like 50 times. I remember I was in South Africa a couple years ago. The brother came out with a painting of me. I don't even know this brother. Like, bro, it's an oil painting. One of the best things I've seen in my life. He said, this is for you. I said, what? And stuff like that touch you. When I was in South Carolina speaking at Juneteenth, sister came with a life-size painting of me. I said, damn, I got about 50 of these. I got like 50 of these. People just bless me with that. They don't do that to everybody. There's nobody else on YouTube getting that kind of love. I get it because people see me, they believe in me, and I've actually helped them. And one of the reasons why I'm so thankful to God for giving me FDMG is I was always very, very sensitive or conscious about being lumped in with all the other so-called fake woke Black speakers on the internet. Because I'm going to be honest with you, most of them ain't nothing but hustlers. They not building nothing and they not fighting nothing. I'm fighting school to prison pipeline and I'm building a school and I'm helping parents save their children. Nobody else I know doing that. If you an economic guru, where's your bank? You an economic guru? Where's your credit and loan association? You an economic guru? Where your investment club? If you an economic guru, why you ain't got no economic vehicles for Black folks? You do diet and nutrition? Good. That's important. Where your clinic at? Where your school at? You see what I'm saying? I'm looking for the institution and the service that goes along with what you're doing that is beyond dollars and cents. And I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing a bunch of people hustling in the name of Black consciousness so they can raise enough money to go live a white life. They're not real. Maybe one or two of them, most of them phonies.
So how do you balance like your passion, of education for young Black children with like your own, self-care,
The self-care comes in spurts.
Okay.
You feel me? So there's natural breaks. So for example, I'm in Chicago now. I get back home tomorrow. I got to take care of some business. I got the weekend to myself. You feel me? I'll relax. One thing I've noticed, there's a natural rhythm to the revolution. You feel me? Right. That gives you a natural break. So the next week I'm off and then I got to hit the road again. I got Memphis, I got Massachusetts, I got Omaha, Nebraska, where I've only been once prior. And then I got Kansas City, Missouri, where I haven't been in like 7 years. And see, because I believe my message is so important for our people, especially for the parents when it comes to education and mental health, I feel obligated to visit all the major Black cities at least once every couple years. You feel me? So only coming to Omaha for the second time, that ain't good. That's Malcolm X's birthplace. Kansas City, that's a big Dr. Umar city. I ain't been there in 7 years, so I feel guilty about that because in them 7 years, there's parents who went through things with their children, who needed me, who might not have heard of me. Because even though I'm very well known, there's a lot of people. I still get text. I just got a text message the other day. I never heard of you before, and I can't stop watching you, Sister Inbox. So I feel an obligation to get around in the major cities. And even when the small cities call, like Norwood, Massachusetts, I feel obligated because people say, Dr. Umar, we only got 100 black people in this town. We only got 200 black people in this town. I don't know how many books you can sell. Oh, it ain't about selling no books. It's about saving the children. You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm not going to let you take advantage of me because that's happened to me before. But at the same time, it ain't about that. For example, I just got called from an HBCU the other day. The brother said, Dr. Umar, we're going through some financial stuff at our HBCU. Everybody want to see you up here. I'm very popular on the HBCU campus. Mm-hmm. The reason why I haven't spoken at everyone is because the administration is normally black bourgeoisies who don't like my message, threatened by my message, or jealous that I'm more popular than they are on their own campus. So this brother just called. This 2 days ago when I was in Baltimore. He said, we got a money problem. He said, I don't know, but we're going to be able to pay you, but we're working on it. I said, listen, what's the date for the event? We take care of the money when y'all get the money. But right now, the students need to hear me. I'm coming. That's how I move out. You see what I'm saying? So even though I got to make sure I'm being compensated at the same time, I cannot let money replace the movement. Because this is activism. This is not capitalism. This is supposed to be about struggle. It's not supposed to be about the hustle. And the brothers on YouTube to turn this damn thing into a hustle. We ain't nothing but Black Church 2.0. And that's what disappoints me is about the Black consciousness community, because we're supposed to be the alternative to church. We're supposed to be the alternative to church. We became church. We function just like the pastors do on the get money past the plate type movement, but doing nothing for their constituency. You see what I'm saying? So I got to step away from that Black conscious thing. I be telling people, listen, I might be the King Kong of consciousness, but I'm not a part of them dudes over there. I know all them dudes. Most of them ain't doing nothing but making money for themselves.
I want to talk about the Black church. And the reason I do is because I'm damn near born and raised in the church. My granddaddy been preaching for 57 years now. So when I ain't gonna lie, when I listen to your opinions on the Black church, I kind of tune out just because it's kind of personal with me. But since we are having this conversation, I'm very interested in, you know, how you feel about the Black church.
In order to understand my criticism of the Black church, and it's Pan-Africanists, we believe in freedom of religion. Marcus Garvey was a Christian. Malcolm was a Muslim, right? Most of my Pan-African forefathers, Bishop Turner, Alexander Crummell, Henry Holly Garnett, Edward Wilmot Blyden, these were pastors of the church, you see. Pastors of the church. I had a red tie. Here we go. Pastors of the church, most of my Pan-African forefathers. So my issue is not with Christianity. I got a black Jesus tattoo on my left shoulder. Jesus was a revolutionary. I rock with the message of Christ. My issue is with the lack of accountability and service that the Black church delivers to the Black community. You got to realize, from a historical perspective, the Black church was the Walmart of the Black community. What I mean by that, if you was hungry, they fed you. Unemployed, they got you a job. Ku Klux Klan burning crosses on your lawn, they gonna go see them. Shoot out, the church is there with the guns. You need to bury somebody, they had the death insurance. Your child needed education, they got the school. You feel me? The Black church was the one-stop shop for everything Black people needed, from their revolutionary needs to their political needs to their spiritual needs. Compare that to the Black church today. You got Black churches that won't even bury you if you ain't got enough money paid into the church. These churches are asking for your tax return when you walk in the door. You got churches with ATMs in the lobby. And here's my issue with the Black church. The Black church takes three things from Black people we can't afford to waste, brother. Three very important things. Time. Time. You don't get your time back. You got to go to prayer, Bible study, choir, women's meeting, men's meeting, blah, blah, blah. You're taking time, but you ain't building no institutions. Every Black church should have a school for our children, because most teachers are what? Affiliated with churches. You ain't got no after-school program. You ain't got no math program, no tutoring program, no rites of passage program. You collecting all this money, but you ain't doing nothing for our children. You ain't got no jobs for our men, no jobs for our children, no jobs for our teens. Here's the question. Name me a church in Chicago, a Black church, that's at the forefront of the fight against miseducation. You can't name one. At the forefront of the fight against mass incarceration in Chicago. Can't name one. Name one that's at the forefront against the fight to stop gentrification or the migrant takeover. A church. Can't name one. Name one that's at the forefront to stop police brutality, police genocide. You can't name one. Black America's 5 major problems doesn't have a single black church spearheading the pushback for any one of them. You take our time, you take our energy, and you taking our money. Our money. Black people on average every Sunday nationally gives the black church $3 million a Sunday. Collectively. $3 million every Sunday. No schools, no banks, no hospitals, no supermarkets. How can I support the black church? My issue is not the doctrine. My issue is the lack of deeds. And this is why. This is why I understand when Karl Marx, and I'm not a communist, but I understand when Karl Marx said religion is the opiate of the people. It brainwashes you into political inactivity. The reason why black people in Chicago are sitting back watching these brown people take over their neighborhood is we've been brainwashed through church, through mosques. When I speak of church, I mean all the religions, not just Christianity. We've been brainwashed through black religion into believing that God is going to fix our problems when God is ready. Where else were we taught that? We were taught that on the damn slave plantation. Wait for God to come solve your problems. I understood it on a slave plantation because you were shackled. I understood it on a slave plantation. You lose your life if you tried to run away. I understand waiting for God to intervene on a slave plantation because you had no power. Why in the hell in 2023, 404 years later, we still waiting for God to intervene when we are a $2 trillion people? Do you realize Black America is the 10th richest economy in the world? We're the richest group of blacks on earth in terms of income. And we waiting on Jesus and Muhammad to solve problems that we have the wherewithal to solve ourselves is not acceptable. Black women, $30 billion on weave and perm. White women have made you feel that unattractive that you spend 25% of your disposable income trying to look like them. Black men, $4 billion on liquor, $2 billion on Air Jordans, $100 million on chicken, turkey, beef, and pork, which means we're literally financing our own cancer diagnosis. I mean, the reason people have trouble feeling sorry for Black America is Black America got the money to solve their own problems, but they're not interested because it takes love to do that. And for 400 years, we've been taught how to hate ourselves.
So let's go there. Black economics, right? The black dollar. It circulates everywhere except in the black community.
16 hours. The black dollar leaves the black community in 16, not even 24. It don't even take a whole day before that dollar jump out your hand. Jewish community, I think it's something like 18 times. Asian community, I think it's something like 28 times. Everybody else's dollar circulates more than a dozen times before it leaves. Black community dollar, it leaves within 16 hours. You know why? Because black people are allergic to other black people. We would rather buy white than buy black. I'm gonna give you a personal example. I just told you about the sneaker shop where my mother used to buy my shoes. Next to the Garvey movement. You see this? Right across the street from the Garvey movement in the white sneaker store was a black sneaker store. Guess what? Everybody still bought their sneaks from the white Jew. The black man was out of business in less than a year. See that? And he had better prices and better sneaks. It didn't matter. Black people love white people. And one of the things we do not want to admit, and one of the things that's going to be necessary for us to overcome our situation, we don't want to admit the psychological dependence on white folks. This is why you hear Negroes say things like integration destroyed black people. Who integrated us? There has never been integration. There's only been desegregation. Deseg is not the same. When you desegregate, you forcibly remove the legal barriers to entry. So public schools desegregated. They removed the barriers that excluded blacks. But did they force you into the white school? No. When they desegregated the white hospitals, did they force you to close down your black hospitals and start going to the white hospitals? Did they force you to leave your black communities and move into the white community? Did they force you to stop sending your children to HBCUs and start overwhelmingly sending them to PWI universities? The white man desegregated. The black man integrated. We wanted to be with white people. We love white people. Why do you think educated black men marry snow bunnies more than the men of every other race put together? We are intoxicated with Caucasian people, and we keep on making excuses as to why we don't want to leave them people alone. And truth be told, it's because of our racial inferiority complex that has us believing that if you ain't got no white people around you, if you ain't living with white, if you ain't dating white, if you ain't sleeping white, if you ain't working white, if you ain't learning white, then you are an inferior being. This is exactly why black parents will spend $20,000, $30,000 a year to send a child to a white private school. We're not even talking college. We're talking grade school, $20,000 and $30,000. I know because I do the IQ testing to make sure they don't have no disabilities in order to get accepted. And I'm looking at what these parents is paying these white folks so they can get a thorough education on how to hate being black and how to be enamored with white skin. And then when your daughter comes out wanting to look like a white girl, you say, what happened to my child? And when your son come out wanting to date nothing but snow bunnies, you say, what happened to my son? You are what happened to your son. Black people do not want to be free. We want to be accepted by white people.
That's a bar. Can you give us, though, like a history lesson? I just want to shift gears real quick. A history lesson on the relationship between Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X.
Well, first of all, to put it in the proper context, both men come from the Garvey movement.
Okay.
Malcolm X's father, Earl Little, was a division president for the Honorable Marcus Garvey in Lansing, Michigan, I believe. His mother, Louise, used to write articles for Marcus Garvey's Negro World. This is the largest, most circulated black newspaper of all time. And the paper was so revolutionary that if you got caught with it in Africa or the Caribbean, it could land you in jail for life. It could lead to a public whipping. And in some cases, it could lead to your execution. So Malcolm's mother used to write for the paper. Malcolm's father was actually murdered during the work of the Honorable Marcus Garvey. And it was Malcolm X's father, Earl Little, who wrote to President Calvin Coolidge during Garvey's incarceration, demanding his release. Malcolm X's father helped lead the charge for the exoneration of the Honorable Marcus Garvey. So Malcolm, although he was a young child, he still remembered his life in the Garvey movement because he wrote about it. There's books where Malcolm actually talks about how the meetings were, the things that he learned, and what his father taught. So when Malcolm met Mr. Muhammad, that organization was very close to the organization that his father had built. And Mr. Muhammad himself, having once been a follower of the Honorable Marcus Garvey and pledged allegiance to the red, black, and green flag, because if you was a member, you had to do that. When he founded the new organization after Garvey's deportation, much of the structure of the organization was borrowed directly from Garvey. So Garvey had the Universal African Legion that became the Fruit of Islam. Garvey had the Universal African Black Cross Nurses that became the MGT. The divisions became MOS, so forth and so on. In fact, when Mr. Muhammad started the early organization in its youth, he used many of Marcus Garvey's quotes to help gain the attention of people. Because remember now, this was the largest black organization in modern history. The leader is gone and America ain't letting them come back. You see that? So everybody who came with an organization post-Garvey used Garvey's words to help attract Garvey's followers to the new organization. I believe the unfortunate split between the two men was largely due to the fact that Malcolm wanted to participate in the Black Revolution freedom struggle. Okay. Malcolm was sitting back. He's watching SNCC. He's watching CORE. He's watching the sit-ins. He's watching the freedom movement. He's watching the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. He's watching the Deacons for Defense. He's looking at all these black organizations fighting for justice, freedom, liberation. Some were integrationists, some were nationalists, but they were fighting. And Malcolm didn't feel his organization was doing enough to participate in the black freedom struggle. And I think that was a major reason for that split. Malcolm wanted to do more than just talk. He wanted to struggle for black people.
So where do you say Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. fit in the midst of all this?
One of the big ironies, contradictions between the integrationists, Honorable Frederick Douglass, militant integrationist, Dr. King, nonviolent integrationist, Malcolm X, nationalist, or even if you look at Mr. Muhammad and his organization, one of the criticisms that has always been levied against the nationalist community. For all y'all talk y'all haven't produced for the black community what the integrationists have. Frederick Douglass helped get us a 13th Amendment, a 14th Amendment, a 15th Amendment. Dr. King helped get us a Civil Rights Bill of 64, a Voting Rights Act of 65, a Fair Housing Act of 68. That's 6 pieces of major legislation from 2 integrationist leaders. What have y'all gotten us on the nationalist side? I would partially concur to an extent that the nationalists have to do a better job of counting victories and achievements. We're good on rhetoric, good on the message, good on the platform, good on the principle. But when it comes to measurable gains for African people outside of the Honorable Marcus Garvey, of course, and a few other nationalists, they really haven't achieved much. You see that? So most people are going to go with whoever puts the bread on the table. The integrationists put bread on the table. The nationalists, not as much. For me, Dr. King is a hero. Some people say, Dr. Umar, how in the hell can the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. be a hero to a revolutionary Pan-Africanist? He wasn't focused on Africa. He wasn't about fighting the white man. You know why Dr. King is one of my heroes? I don't judge my heroes based on ideology. You feel me? I might get my associates and soldiers based on ideology. We ain't struggling unless you're a Pan-Africanist. But my heroes is based on their sacrifice for the people. Dr. King gave his life. Dr. King did not have to do what he did. Dr. King was born in a well-to-do, famous family. His father and grandfather were well-known preachers. Dr. King could have been a T.D. Jakes. Dr. King could have been a Creflo Dollar. He did not have to put his life on the line for black people. His house got bombed twice with his wife and kids in it. The average Negro would have gave up then. Dr. King said, nah, I'm not giving up. So people can criticize Dr. King all they want. Who else got their house bombed twice and stayed with the movement? These Negroes don't even want to donate to a movement, much less risk their life for it. Dr. King struggled for us. And even though he's considered nonviolent, when they went up against them dogs and them hoses, ain't nothing nonviolent about getting bit by dogs. You know, there was elders who got their breast bit off. The dog bit the breast off. Dr. King went to jail over 100 times. The nationalists wasn't going to jail for black people. They were talking shit while Dr. King was struggling. You see that? So for me, can't nobody say nothing to me about Dr. King. He wasn't perfect, but guess what? He's the last leader. He's the last leader in Black America to give you a serious, comprehensive plan for systemic change, politically, socially, and economically. Jesse Jackson ain't done that. Al Sharpton ain't done that. Nobody you can name has done anything even close to Dr. King, and we 55 years since he was murdered. So can't nobody say nothing to me about Dr. King. Every time I go to Atlanta, as much as I can when I'm in Atlanta, I go to Dr. King's grave, and I sit there and I get my sage out and I burn it, and I talk to Dr. King. Him and Queen Mother Coretta Scott King, because in my position, but what I'm trying to do, I'm picking up where he left off, not with the integration. I'm coming another way with the nationalism. But Dr. King had a little Pan-Africanism because after Malcolm got murdered in 65, Dr. King goes to Jamaica. He meets with the Garveyites in Jamaica. He visits Marcus Garvey's gravesite. And they give him a thorough education on what Garveyism is all about. Dr. King said Marcus Garvey was the first black man to give our people a large, serious movement for change. And when Dr. King came back from visiting the Garveyites in Jamaica, he started sounding like Malcolm. He started sounding like Garvey. Listen to Dr. King the last year of his life. He ain't preaching no damn integration. He preaching Garvey. When Kwame Nkrumah led Ghana to its independence on March 6, 1957, who was in that audience in Ghana celebrating the independence of the first post-colonial state? Dr. King and Coretta. He wasn't out with his Pan-Africanism, you feel me? But Dr. King had a space in his heart for Pan-Africanists, and he was definitely influenced by Garvey because the last year of his life, he was talking Garveyism, and that's why they had to die. Dr. King didn't die for integration. Dr. King died for economic revolution. The reason Dr. King was murdered, after he left Memphis, he was on his way to Washington, D.C. The Southern Christian Leadership Conference was spearheading a breadbasket campaign. He was taking poor people of every color, but he was taking poor people to the nation's capital. Nobody was leaving unless they left with a job and a house. And Lyndon Baines Johnson and J. Edgar Hoover lost their mind. They said, if you let this Negro come to the nation's capital with all these poor people from across the country and erect a tent city and nobody leaving without a job or a house, it will embarrass this country and might lead to social revolution. Dr. King is the first man since Marcus Garvey, the Honorable Marcus Garvey, in my opinion, who damn near brought America to its knees. That's why they killed him. Not for integration, but for economic liberation.
And it just made me think about, you know, how the FBI killed Fred Hampton here in Chicago.
Oh, yes.
He was just 21 years old.
Yes, 21 years. And to show you, well, first of all, always look at the timing of the murders.
Right.
It ain't just the murder. It's the timing.
Right.
Sam Cooke is murdered a few weeks before Malcolm. Sam Cooke, first black major artist to own his own publishing. Close friends with Malcolm and Muhammad Ali and Jim Brown. Sam Cooke, rumor has it, was going to finance the new civil rights movement. Once King and Malcolm came together, Sam Cooke was going to finance. He had to die. You're not going to finance the black liberation. He died in December 64. Malcolm is killed in February 65. You know why Malcolm had to die from the government side? Malcolm was supposed to keynote a Third World Revolutionaries Conference with Che Guevara in a couple weeks. The U.S. government could not afford Malcolm X and Che Guevara to link up with all these African revolutionaries and Caribbean revolutionaries. Malcolm had to die February 21st to stop him from getting to that revolutionary conference with Che Guevara. You see that? Dr. King had to die on April 4th to make sure he never gets to the breadbasket campaign. Fred Hampton had to die December of 69 because Fred Hampton just came. He was part of the Black Panther Party Central Committee. He was one of the leaders. Huey and Bobby and the rest of the Black Panther Party Central Committee had just elected Fred Hampton to be the national and international spokesman for the movement. As you know, he was the best of their orators. You see, could you imagine with Fred Hampton as the international spokesman for the Black Panther Party? The U.S. government couldn't have that. Fred Hampton was our last great hope after they murdered King. Remember, they killed King April 68. They killed Fred Hampton the next year, December 69. Fred Hampton was going to be the next great black leader. He had to die right then and there because if they would have allowed him to build the momentum as a new international spokesman for the Black Panther Party, who knows where we would be right now. You always got to study the timing of the murder. There's a reason why he dies now, not a little bit earlier, not a little bit later. Yeah. And then after they take out Fred Hampton, 2 years later, George Jackson, Soledad brother, who just started a chapter of the Black Panther Party, in the prison, although he was co-founder of Black Guerrilla Family. He started a Black Panther Party chapter in prison. And that was part of the reason I believe they had to kill him, because he was politicizing the prisoners. He was doing that anyway. But now he had the support of the Black Panther Party, the most popular grassroots organization at the time. And that's why they set George Jackson up for murder. So look at that. Medgar Evers, 63. I'm going to go back to Africa. Patrice Lumumba, 61, who I believe is the greatest Pan-Africanist since the Honorable Marcus Garvey in the Congo. Patrice Lumumba, 61. Medgar Evers, 63. Malcolm, 65. King, 68. Hampton, 69. George Jackson, 71. In my opinion, when they killed George Jackson on August the 21st, my birthday, but I'm not born in 71, I'm later than that. But when they killed George Jackson on my birthday, I believe that was the metaphorical and symbolic end of the Black Liberation, Black Panther Party era. However, I was wrong because what happens in 71? Black Liberation Army is born. You feel me? So at the decline of the Panthers with the murders of Fred and George, the Black Liberation Army takes off. And the Black Liberation Army, which was more aggressive than the Black Panther Party militaristically, because they stood up to the cops. They went toe-to-toe with the cops. They bust Assata Shakur out of prison in New Jersey and got that sister to Cuba. You feel me? So we got to make sure we study our Black Liberation Army history. Everybody know the Panthers, but what about the BLA who came after the Panthers, who kept the torch going, you see? And then in the early 1980s, most of them are either assassinated by the police or incarcerated. And that's when the U.S. government said, we can't handle more of this. You got to realize the 1960s and 70s, we damn near brought America to its knees. Do you realize from the 60s to the 70s, specifically, I'm going to go 55 to 75 more specifically, right? Mm-hmm. From 55 to 75, You had more legitimate black revolutionary organizations fighting for our people's freedom than any time in history except for slavery. Could you imagine being J. Edgar Hoover? And I don't want you to imagine being him. Right. You wake up every day, you got a new group. You got Stokely Carmichael over here. You got H. Rap Brown over here. You got Malcolm over here. You got King. You got the Freedom Riders. You got the sit-ins. You feel me? Black Panthers, Black Liberation, Deacons for Defense. Bro, we almost did it. And how did the government respond? They said, we need a weapon that can shut all this shit down. And you know what they came up with? 1980, CIA dropped off crack cocaine. Boom. Chemical warfare. 1983, U.S. government dropped off HIV AIDS. Boom. Biological warfare. Crack and AIDS was sent into the black community to prevent the rise of another black messiah after the deaths of Malcolm, King, Fred Hampton, George Jackson in the Black Liberation Army.
So they put crack cocaine in our community. They put sexually transmitted diseases in our community.
Yes, which we even had before that because they started giving us STDs during slavery. Because remember, according to their scientists, many of the STDs that black people got were foreign to us in Africa. Gonorrhea, chlamydia was unknown on the African continent. Those are European diseases. And how did we get them? Because they raped our mothers, raped our fathers, raped our daughters. You see, remember now, during slavery, it was very common to catch a slave master 40, 50 years old in the bed with a 7-year-old black girl raping her. Mm. Oh, pedophilia and slavery went hand in hand. And that's why there's a movement in America right now to legalize pedophilia. The age of sexual consent is 16. They want to take it down to 14. Mm. Some people want to take it down to 12. Mm. And there was just a body from the United Nations that came out with a statement a couple months ago. I read it when I was speaking in Barbados this past spring, that they said people should not be charged with a crime for having sex with minors if the minors give their consent. Mm. Can I ask you a question? How can my 12-year-old daughter give her consent to have sex with a 40-year-old man? You see that? How can your 8-year-old son consent to having gay sex with a 50, 60-year-old man? The reason why the pedophile movement is trying to normalize sex with children is many of the world's leading pedophiles are multi-billionaires who can't afford to go to jail. This is why Epstein had to be murdered. Jerry Epstein wasn't the only one. He's just one of the organizers. You understand? Bill Clinton was on that plane with Epstein. Donald Trump was on that plane with Epstein. Hillary was on that plane with Epstein. I think Bill Gates was on that plane with Epstein. You know why Epstein was murdered? They said it was a suicide. They killed him. He said, I'm not going down by myself. When he said that, they had to kill him because he would have started naming names. I believe Barack and Michelle was on the Epstein plane. You feel me? So pedophilia is not about one person. It's about a movement. And unfortunately, they used R. Kelly as a scapegoat to deflect from the white-owned, white-controlled, white-led, white-financed pedophile movement. Don't get me wrong. If R. Kelly is having sex with underage children, he should be held accountable for that. But that's not why R. Kelly went to jail. R. Kelly went to jail because a certain music company was stealing R. Kelly's music, didn't want to pay for it, so they had to bankrupt him through lawyer fees by charging him with the sexual exploitation of the children. Same thing with Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby didn't go to jail for harassing white women. Bill Cosby went to jail because him and Camille Cosby owned a home in Massachusetts that got oil underneath of it, and the second richest oil company in the world wanted to drill under the home, and Bill Cosby and Camille organized their neighbors to resist the oil company drilling. Right after that, all these ugly white women come up from 40 years ago, talk about Bill Cosby molested me back in the 1970s and the 1980s. What white women you know get sexually harassed by the #1 television star at the time? Remember, Bill Cosby opened the door for Richard Pryor. Mm-hmm. There would have been no Richard Pryor without Bill Cosby from North Philly. And Richard Pryor is the greatest comedian of all time, by the way. But Bill Cosby opened the door for him. He's the #1 black man on TV, the first black actor to get his own series on nationwide TV, and you don't call the police on him. You don't tell a soul. You wait 40 years until you old and nasty looking and say this man harassed you. Bull crap. They got them women together to do that in order to bankrupt him so he could sell that house and the oil company could get their drilling. None of these people are going to jail for that. Michael Jackson, when he got accused of the pedophilia, and by the way, the white boy he allegedly molested, he was on Vlad. He said his parents made it up. He just recently did the white boy who Michael Jackson allegedly assaulted. What he got the lie for? Ain't no money in it. He said, my mother and father made that up and made me do it for money. He said it. So why did they come out against Michael Jackson with the false pedophile accusations? Because Michael Jackson was about to buy Marvel Comics. You didn't hear what I just said. Michael Jackson, who already owns the Beatles catalog, half of Elvis catalog, half of Sony Records, is about to buy Marvel Comics. You think Wakanda was something? Imagine if that was Michael Jackson on Wakanda. It would have been off the hook. So they hit Mike with the pedophile rumors to force him out of the bidding because, as you know, Marvel Comics, that's children. So if you're having sex with kids, you ain't got no business bidding on children's magazines. That was the propaganda to sabotage Mike from getting Marvel Comics. It's never what you see. It's never what you see. They murdered Whitney Houston because Whitney Houston was going to order an audit on her royalties, an audit on her publishing. Oh, yes. And Whitney Houston wanted her masters back. You think he was going to give her masters back? So you die in the same hotel that the owner of your record label is having a pre-Grammys party and he don't cancel the party? This is your #1 selling artist of all time. Whitney Houston was the #1 selling artist of all time, female, until Mariah passed her. But guess what? Whitney Houston is still the only black artist in history to be certified diamond 3 times. Not even Michael Jackson was certified diamond 3 times. I Will Always Love You is the #1 selling female song in history. Whitney's version, not the original. And you broke? Oh, Whitney said, I can't possibly be broke. We got to look at my royalties, open up the books. Somebody couldn't allow that to happen. And that's why he had her killed before her pre-Grammys party and still had the party. Because that was a ritual sacrifice for going against the white power structure. That's the Hollywood Hilton. You don't think it's cameras on every floor? You don't think it's cameras on every floor in the Hollywood Hilton? Right. Why the hell we ain't see the footage of who went in Whitney's room? It's on the damn camera. It's on the camera. They're not going to show you that because the white power structure killed Whitney. And that's why none of these rappers don't speak up about nothing serious going on in the black community because they know how the game works. You go against the power structure, we will get you involved in a ritualistic sacrifice. White supremacy and demonology go hand in hand. And that's why they need these children to sex them and molest them, because you do know the vampire metaphor is very real in European high-class culture. They believe sex with children helps you live longer. Let me say that again. This is the vampire metaphor. In the vampire, the movies, what they do, they drink your blood. Okay? They do that too. But it is the young blood of the child, untouched, that will give you longer life. This is why they need so many children. This is why we got all these black girls going missing. Who is most likely to be sexually abducted in America? Black girl, 12 to 17. Black girl, 12 to 17. And right after them is the boys. They need the boys for the sodomy rituals. They need virgin black prepubescent boys for the sodomy rituals. And then they need the black girls for the rituals as well. And then after that, they kill them. And in many cases, they drink their brain fluid because they believe that the brain fluid of virgin children, when digested, gives you longer spiritual life.
And we learned something today.
The child sex ring is beyond some sick Negro on the street kidnapping people's kids. This is government-backed, government-sponsored, government-created. The foster homes are in it. The judges are in it. All the Department of Youth and Family Services are in it. Why do you think a certain number of black kids get taken from their families every year? Why do you think a certain number of black kids get abducted every year? If you got random abductions, there's no way it's the same amount every year. You feel me? That's systemic. Somebody is systematically making sure this many black kids get abducted, this many black kids get sexually trafficked. Because you got rich white males at the top of this who need our children at the bottom because they believe raping those innocent black babies will give them longer life on this planet.
Yeah, it was a report in Cleveland, Ohio, a couple months ago about like
all the children missing it.
Yeah,
Cleveland is a test site. Atlanta, remember the Atlanta child murders? Atlanta is a test site. I think Chicago is a organ trafficking site, and I also think that you guys are a homicide site. Nobody's going to convince me that all these black men being murdered are being murdered simply over gang warfare and black on black hate. You feel me? I believe that there are people dressing up as African people, white folks who they're bringing in. It's going to come out just like the Purge movie. Just like the Purge movie. They're bringing in white ex-military cutouts to assassinate black people on the streets of Chicago to reduce the numbers. You mean to tell me you got cameras all over Chicago? Cameras everywhere. And you don't know who killed them? The camera didn't catch the license plate on the car? You have no physical description? Why do you have no leads on all these murders when half of Chicago is a damn surveillance police state? Because the government is killing us off. Mm-hmm. Do you realize black male organs, black female organs are some of the most prized organs in the world because we're the original people. So our organs damn near work with everybody. What is the one thing you need to live that you can't buy? Heart, kidney, liver, spleen. So since everybody been brainwashed to think that Black Chicago is just self-destruction from the inside, why don't we encourage the effort? Send our own ex-military cutouts there overnight, 2 a.m. to 5 a.m., and kill as many black people as they can. We got all the organs we need. Nobody going to do no research. Nobody going to investigate. They're just going to think it's another gang killing. Do you see what I'm saying? It's easy to take a life in Chicago because they brainwashed the whole world into thinking it ain't nothing but drugs and guns and gangs. No, it's not. The government is killing these brothers and sisters in Chicago. You got a heart, and it just so happened your heart is the only heart that matched that rich white man in the suburbs of Illinois. And all he needs to do is pay somebody $1 million to take you out and bring that heart. And the next thing you know, we reading about how you got jacked at the gas station, filling up your car, getting you a bottle of orange juice, and they came out and robbed you, and you ain't want to give them the money, so you fought back and they killed you. That's a damn lie. That was an orchestrated hit for organs. It's happening all over America.
Mm. Can you talk to us about the damage drill music has done to our community?
Drill. And all of it is damaging. You know, right. Drill is probably the most intense and self-destructive form of gangster rap, but it's all destroying us.
Right.
You know, I wish that one day the Chicago artists, the Chief Keefs and the Little Durks and Common and Kanye, I wish they would convene some sort of a conference, not just for the gangs, because it ain't just the gangs doing this. You understand? I think sometimes the gangs can get a bad rap because they get blamed for crime that ain't even gang crime. But I wish that they would all come together, all those in Chicago with the influence. I wish they would come together and have a serious sit down with the gangs and all the other corner boy sets and see if they could put some order to the crime. Because see, here's the thing. Crime not going to stop because people can't find well-paying jobs. You see that? Crime is not going to stop until you have jobs that provide people with adequate pay and benefits to take care of their children. So bringing them together to stop the crime, that could be the goal. As a student of political science and criminology, I don't think that's going to happen. But you know what we can do? We could put some rules to the shit. You understand? Organize the crime like the Italians do. Organize the crime like the Chinese gangs do. Organize the crime like the Irish do. Why the hell we got kids getting hit? Why we got mothers getting hit? Why we got old women getting hit? Y'all can't put some rules to this shit so innocent bystanders ain't losing their life over y'all petty drama? I think there should be a conference in Chicago to at least organize the crime to reduce the violence.
Yeah. A lot of Chicago men are stubborn, and they feel like what we talk about can never happen. They feel like it's impossible to have such a conference.
That bothers me because once upon a time, people said we would never get out of slavery. Once upon a time, when black people said we got to fight to end this, some black people laughed at them and said, this never going to end. So if you believe it, you can achieve it. They told Ida B. Wells, she never stopped lynching. She did. They told Frederick Douglass, black people never get the right to vote. We did. They told Dr. King, you'll never go to a white hotel, restaurant, a coliseum. He did. They told Marcus Garvey, Africa will never be free. He gave Africa the blueprint for independence, which came right after his death. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we are a people whose whole history is about proving that the word impossible is a myth. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ride or die.
Now, can you help me break down, though, like the psychological effects gangster rap has had on African-American men, right?
The problem with gangster rap and why it's been so influential, gangster rap takes off in the decade of crack and AIDS. This is the mass incarceration of black fathers. The boys are fatherless, and into the void comes the gangster rappers as the role models. And let me be clear. As I said earlier, I don't want to scapegoat the gangster rappers because as much as they are to blame, professional black men are to blame. Because if the doctor doesn't leave the inner city of Chicago, if the school principal doesn't move out the inner city of Chicago, if the engineer, the politician, the business owner, the pastor, if they don't abandon our children, Little Dirk and Chief Keef can never get to them. And I'm not demonizing Little Dirk and Chief Keef, you understand? But I'm saying that if the black professional men never abandon our boys, rap would never have the deleterious effect on the consciousness of young black America as it does. So are the gangster rappers to blame? Partly and largely, but all black men have to be blamed. Because if we were really taking care of the boys in the community, gangster rap could have never took hold. You know why? We wouldn't let them listen to it. And we wouldn't let them make it. Gangster rap was created by fatherless black boys. And when I say fatherless, I don't mean they didn't have a father in their life. I'm saying they didn't have a father who was strong, aggressive, active in making sure that you don't engage yourself into anything that would be destructive and not in the best interest of the black community. So although we look at gangster rap, it is black men in general who are failing our children. You got young men coming out of Cook County Jail every day. Do we have a program to socialize them, bring them back into the streets of Chicago? Do we have a way to get them a job? Do we take them to some sort of a socialization process where they know how to relate to their children's mother, relate to their children, relate to their mother, relate to the community? Do we give them some type of anger management course or conflict resolution seminar? What are black men doing for black men? And nobody gonna help us, because let us be honest, we are the most undesired people in this country. Not the damn Arabs, not the Taliban, not the Mexican gangs, not the immigrants. No, the most undesired person in America is the black man. We it. So if we don't come together and save ourselves, we won't be saved.
And on the flip side of that coin, of the gangster rap, you know, nowadays the women are emerging, you know, with a real big impact on the rap game now. But a lot of their lyrics are, you know, vulgar, sexual related.
I don't like it.
Right.
I don't support it. You know, obviously, Sister Sukihana and I are friends, and we have a line of communication there. I know where she stands, and she definitely knows where I stand. And my hope is, with the level of intelligence that I know her to have off the camera, I'm hoping that one day she will turn the corner, because I think a sister like Sukihana has a lot of potential. I think she could do a lot of good, especially with our young girls, especially someone who has went from this level of art to come to this level of activism. You feel me? So I'm hopeful that she will turn that corner sooner than later. But gangster rap is nothing more than the exaggeration of the stereotypes white people have always held about black people since the beginning of time. What was the stereotype about the black woman on the plantation? She was a Jezebel, sexually promiscuous. And what do our gangster rap women do? They push a message of sexual promiscuity. They're reinforcing stereotypes of black women that are 4 centuries old. Look at the black man. What is the stereotype? All they want to do is have sex, smoke, drink, kill each other, and buy expensive European goods. And what do the gangster rappers push? Exactly that. And that's why I call hip hop the minstrel show of white America, because everything white America wants to believe and does believe about black people, they give it to our rappers to push it.
And they promote it.
And they promote it like crazy.
With such excitement.
And they're hypocrites, because if you tell me this is the only thing you can rap about, because this is what you live, why did you move out your neighborhood? Most rappers do not live in their neighborhood. They moved. And I'm not against that. But don't be celebrating this kind of life if you left it behind the minute you had enough money to do so. Does that sound like somebody who proud? Why are you still rapping about a lifestyle that you no longer participate in? You in a white suburb, send your kids to a white private school. You got private white security, but you pushing this message of bust your gun in the ghetto. Don't worry about who get hit. You understand that? Kill him, kill this one, weed, crack, sell. You don't live it no more, my brother. If you don't live it no more, but you still telling our kids that you do, doesn't that make you an artistic hypocrite? Stop saying you're only rapping about what you see. You don't see that shit no more because you don't live it no more. So why are you still pushing it? Because the Jewish media conglomerates make them do it. Gangster rappers are the field slaves of the European Jewish music plantation.
For sure that. Now, when I was doing my little research, I came across a video that talked about, it was a podcast that talked about how they invited you on to co-host with Charleston White or debate or something like that, and you respectively declined.
Yes, I did. I don't have anything against the brother Charleston White. I don't believe I belong on a platform with him.
Okay.
As you can see, my message is very much about the best interests of the community. It's about saving our children, our men, our women. It's about building schools, which I'm actively doing. Okay. I don't believe I need to be on a podcast with someone who has disrespected our deceased, with someone who has said things that many people interpreted as being supportive of rape, as someone who has, done some things that many people would consider deplorable and unforgivable. The messages are not the same. The missions are not the same. The work is clearly not the same. Clearly not the same. Now, he says he's a community activist. I don't know what he's doing. I can't speak to that. But you're damn sure ain't done in these streets what I've done. You understand? I'm the most influential school psychologist in American history, hands down. I saved more black kids from prison and special ed than any other psychologist, educator, or person you can name. Like I said, I'm not knocking it. But whatever you're doing, it don't compare to what I'm doing. And I just think in the podcast world, sometimes these guys go out of their way to reduce those who are credentialed and expert in their field and put us on the same level as someone from the community who simply has an opinion. Right. And don't get me wrong, I'm humble. I'll bust it up with anybody. But with my 6 degrees, my credentials, my achievements and accomplishments in life, what I'm doing to serve our people, you're not just going to bring anybody in with me and say, y'all going to have a head-to-head. No, sir. We can't have a head-to-head because he's not on my level in that way. You feel me? And because of the shock value because he operates on shock value. I don't operate on shock value. You ask me questions, I give you my honest answer as a scholar, not a YouTuber. I'm not a YouTuber. I don't have a YouTube. You see what I'm saying? I might be the king of YouTube, but I don't have a YouTube. You're not going to take what I bring to the table and sensationalize it and trivialize it by bringing this person on set who's liable to say anything. You understand? I'm not going to sit there and you come crooked out your mouth, which he's known to do. That's just going to cause conflict, all for what? So you can get views and likes and clicks and snaps. I'm not into that shit. You see what I'm saying? And for me, it was disingenuous for the guy to say what he said, because that was a private conversation. You asked me for the interview.
Right.
Cool, let's do the interview. Then you come back a couple weeks later and say, can we bring him on there? I'm not feeling dude. Right. Not to mention, he's made several repeated disrespectful comments about me. Okay. So you want me to sit down with somebody who don't know me and has disrespected me plenty of time? Who the fuck you think I am? You see what I'm saying? Now, if he never disrespected me, I still wouldn't have wanted to do it because he's a loose cannon and I don't really rock with his format. You see what I'm saying? I'm somewhere else with it. Don't get me wrong. I like to clown around and joke and all that too, but there's levels I don't cross. I don't think he has levels he don't cross. And because of that, I don't think we should be seated together. Now, if you're doing work in the community, I salute you, brother. Keep doing your work. If it's meant for our roads to cross on some activism type shit, we can do that. But debate, you can't debate me. I'll take a quote from John Henry Clark. He said, I only educate people. I only debate my equals. All others I educate. I could give you an education, bro. Ain't gonna be no debate. We not on the same level. And the problem with the social media world is they like to put us all on the same level. So I be having to tell people, I'm not that guy. I'm not him. I'm not him. Look at my body of work. It's more than videos, bro. What do they do when they off YouTube? They don't do shit. So you're not going to put me on a level with these guys. We are completely different. When I die, I'm going to be written into the history books for the things I've done. And I'm not even done yet. When I die, these other people are going to be written into the history books for shit because they ain't done nothing. So you're not going to make us equal because we're not. No disrespect to him. But I'm not sharing space. First of all, I don't even like to lecture with other people. You feel me? So just to show how it's not personal against dude, I don't even like to lecture with other people. If I'm scheduled to speak in Atlanta or Miami or Houston, and I'm thinking it's just me, and the organizers of the event bring me him or him or him, bro, you can have him on stage, but you're not having him with me. Well, Dr. Umar, we thought he'd be a good match. He's not a match because he's not on my level. You're not going to give my platform. You feel me? You're not going to give my audience to somebody who's a hater or somebody who's a scammer or somebody who's an opportunist or somebody who's not fighting for black folks. So this is not just the YouTube world where I don't share space. If you notice most of my lectures, 95% is me alone. I've shared the stage with David Banner. I've shared the stage with Dr. Claude Anderson. That's really about it. You feel me? I'm not sharing my stage with nobody else because they not on my level. People wanted me to share the stage with all types of guys in the conscious community. Bro, what works have they done? What institution are they building? You're not going to put them on my level because they don't belong there. They got to earn that shit. You want to sit next to me, you're going to earn that shit. And you're not going to earn it by running your mouth on YouTube. I want to see evidence that you are doing real works in these streets. And until you do that, we not tag teaming. I don't need to tag team with nobody. What I need to tag team for? I ain't been tag teaming. I'm good. Y'all need me. I don't need y'all. Leave it there.
That's a bar. I agree. I like the way that you stand for something, especially in this internet world.
Yes.
I even watched the clip of when you were dissatisfied with the titles that Vlad TV had posted, years.
Yeah, I didn't like the way Vlad edited up the interview. He wanted me back on the return. I didn't do it.
Right.
I'm not going to say I would never go back because it's been quite some time now.
Right.
But I did, because he interviewed Mark Lamont Hill, another Philadelphia scholar who I respect. He interviewed Mark Lamont Hill around the same time he interviewed me. And when he edited Mark's interview, it was nice, clean, professional. Mine's, it was kind of like he was making a mockery of me or something. You see what I'm saying? I didn't appreciate, like, bro, I'm a scholar just like Mark. I got more degrees than him. I got more degrees than all the rest of them too. I got 6 of them and 3 certs. You see what I'm saying? So you're not going to do me like that, bro. I don't walk around with a certain tie every day because I don't like suits. I wear them when I got to go to work. Outside of that, I dress like I'm in the hood because I'm from the hood. You see what I'm saying? I ain't got nobody to impress. And I really thought the way Vlad edited up my video, it kind of trivialized me. And I don't feel it was done with respect. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, I'm not saying I would never go back. He did want me to come back shortly thereafter to clear up the situation. I just passed it off at that point. You know what I'm saying? But my thing is, I respect everybody. Respect me. Right. And that's another thing. When I do interviews, sometimes people feel like they got to add the sensationalism.
Right.
I'm like, bro, you don't have to do the clown shit. You're going to get 1 million views anyway because I'm Dr. Umar. Leave the clown shit out. You feel me? It's like when I go in the Breakfast Club. It's really no clown shit. It's just straight, you know what I mean?
Right.
Me, Envy, Charlemagne, boom. And you see what happens. You don't got to play games. If you look at most of my interviews, most of them get 1 million. You feel me? Minimally 1 million. Just do the fucking, stop adding the sidebar. We don't need it.
Right.
And that's because social media is so sensationalized. They think if it ain't no fuckery, it ain't going to be watched. They're going to watch me because I'm the only one giving them that raw truth that they need. They're going to watch me. They didn't know my Breakfast Clubs would get more views than people sold 10, 20 million albums.
Right.
They didn't know that. He's a damn psychologist getting more views than the rappers. You damn right. Because our people are hungry for the wisdom and I'm bringing it to them. So it's a no-brainer. Now, they can't bring me on there all the time because the message is too strong for that platform.
Right.
So I get my once a year and I'm cool with that because at least they do that because I'm thankful to them because with the Breakfast Club, this is what I always say. Before the Breakfast Club interview, if I walk through the airport, and my first interview was 2015, so this is 5 years into my rise.
Okay.
Before the Breakfast Club, if I walked through the airport, half the people knew me, right? Half. Now, everybody knows me, including the non-black people.
For sure.
You feel me? So I saw the impact. And it's not about being known. It's about the donations for the school. You feel me? That's how I judge it. The more views I get, the more people know about the mission to build these schools. Because the school we got in Wilmington, Delaware, and by the way, I got to give Chicago a shout out because some of my earliest donations were from here. Because remember, the school was going to be here. We were looking in Chicago for a school for a while.
Okay.
We just couldn't find one. I still want a school in Chicago. You feel me? Because the school in Wilmington, Delaware, we want to franchise that. Right? So we almost done by the end of the year. Next year, we're going to have a grand opening. Then we probably going to start educating the kids in August. Once the Delaware school is up and running, we want to take them all over. So we still need a school in Chicago, Detroit, Houston, Atlanta, Phoenix, Oakland. The mission ain't changed. So for me, you know how most people, they look at views and they say, okay, more people know me or I'll make a few more bucks. Not for me. For me, more people know me so I can get a few more donations so we can build a few more schools. So whereas with most of them guys, they just looking at numbers for numbers' sake. I'm looking at numbers because I know those numbers can translate into donations, right? So when you post this video, although I'm very well known in Chicago, there's people who don't know me here.
For sure.
They're going to listen to that. The interview was like, whoa, let me throw them something. You see what I'm saying? Because that's how we got that school, bro. I never knew the power of the dollar until FDMG. I didn't know, that $1 here and $1 here and $5 here. Because most of our donations have been 10s, 20s, and 50s.
Right.
We get a couple hundreds. We get a couple thousands. I think the largest single donation we had was 5,000. We got that twice. That was it. That's the largest single donation. Nothing more than 5. Never a donation from a celebrity yet, even though I know plenty of them. They've yet to write a check. But it was those little dollars that helped us buy them 2 schools in Wilmington, Delaware. And when we open up, we will be the first school in American history to begin operation in a traditional school build, a modern school, completely financed by Africans around the world. No government money, no bank money, no white corporate handouts. First one in American history. So I'm thankful to the people.
So let me ask you this, right? As far as donations are concerned, so would you reject a donation coming from a Caucasian?
Yes.
Okay.
As Marcus Garvey said, that which must be done for blacks must be done by blacks. When we open that school, I need black people to take pride in this. You see what I'm saying? I need black people to say, look what we did. It's only a school. It ain't the end of the world, but we did something on our own for a change. If the white people pay for half of it, is that a black achievement? That's the Urban League all over again. That's the NAACP all over again. That's half the HBCUs all over again. The central contradiction of the black freedom struggle is black people keep talking about they want to be free, but they keep reaching back to the oppressor to finance every step of the struggle. If Jews want to be free from Germans, they don't ask the Germans to build their schools and their hospitals. You see that? You do it yourself. So I'm trying to be the example to African people globally that we can do this on our own. And speaking of globally, I was over in Cameroon, West Central Africa, the end of September, and I went to the Bimbia slave dungeon. Okay. I've been to other dungeons, but this one, they all touched me, but this one was different because it was outside and it was large. Make a long story short, it left a very deep impact on me, as all the dungeons have. And I'm going to be leading a group trip to West Central Africa, Cameroon. We're going to do Cameroon and we're going to do the Congo, and we might do Chad in Central African Republic. Why is this important for American Africans? The Bimbia slave fort where I was, that was one of the largest demarcation points for enslaved Africans brought to the New World. Many of us have Congolese blood, Cameroonian blood, Chadian blood, you understand? Because a lot of us came from Central Africa. And guess where mankind was born? Central Africa. Congo is home to the oldest human beings on the earth. So that means if your ancestors came to the Bimbia slave fort, you are a direct descendant of the first man and first woman God put on earth. Why would I want to be anything except an African?
That's deep. Woods, you got some questions you want to ask? No? Just wonder.
Sure.
I know you taking financial donations for the school, but are you also taking I don't know what to call this, like physical donations, like say it's a black contractor company, black plumbers, black, you know what I'm saying? Are you taking those type of donations too, like to actually help build the school?
I would love to, but don't waste your breath. And let me tell you why I'm gonna say that. Before we bought the school, there was black contractors all over the country. They said, once Dr. Umar get to school, we're gonna come do the work for free. You feel me? When we bought them schools on February 7th, 2019, not a single black contractor volunteered their work yet. That was all bullshit. All that on-long talk, we're going to come do it for free. Show me where they at. Show me where they at. Not a single one pulled up to help us. Minus, we had 2 plumbers out of New York, young Garveyite brothers from Jamaica. They were the only ones to volunteer. Nobody else volunteered nothing, bro. And guess what? The contractors who said we wanted to help them, they didn't have a Delaware license or a Wilmington, Delaware license, which means what? You can't do the damn work. Show me somebody with the paperwork who volunteered. You can't show me one. That's all YouTube bullshit. Half of what you read on YouTube is all lies, bro. Oh, I was going to help him. Really? So you got a Delaware license and a Wilmington license and you was going to help him? Really? I want to see that person face to face. You feel me? I want anybody who's saying they was going to help me and they got the right paperwork, I want to see them face to face. We've never seen them in 5 years. That was all crap.
I do have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Under the apologetically black, concept. So,
which I started from Chicago. 2010. Everybody ran with it. Unapologetically black. That's mine.
Absolutely. Yeah,
and they ran with it. Even Beyonce be saying unapologetically black.
All right. So I get kind of like you, why I kind of be like going off into tangents and just like I kind of just be losing myself, right? I might say some of the wildest stuff like out in public, right? So for you were just saying some like deep stuff on the pod about like, or on the interview about like the government, J. Edgar Hoover. You don't ever like worry about like, or have they made attempts at your life? You don't worry about them making attempts at your life?
I get death threats. I do. I probably get about half dozen to a dozen death threats a year from white folks. They send pictures, images. One time I was speaking in Cleveland. I was backstage, Cleveland, Ohio. And somebody sitting there said, nigga, you better not come out here. If you take this stage, we're going to blow your brains out. And so my security, they called the police and they came and inspected. The lecture went on because I ain't going to let nothing deter me. You feel me? But I do get the death threats. Here's my thing. And I'm no tough guy. When I study Malcolm and Martin and I listen to the friends who are around them, they often say that they feel Martin and Malcolm got to a point where they wanted to die because they kept getting the threats. Malcolm knew the government and his former associates were after him. King knew J. Edgar Hoover couldn't stand him. And the people around him said they got so exhausted with constantly being threatened, knowing it was coming, but not knowing when, that they felt they secretly wished to die. You see what I'm saying? It was almost like they were dead already towards the end of their life, psychologically. I don't ever want to get there. I don't ever want to get so beat down with the threat of harm or death that I lose my love for living. You feel me? So for me, I practice traditional African spirituality. That's what keeps me grounded. That's why I go to my ancestors' graves. I'm always praying to the Most High every morning. Need to do more of that. I meditate. I do my little personal spiritual retreats and things like that. I got to stay grounded because this work is a very dangerous work and it's a very underappreciated work. Black people don't appreciate you. When Malcolm died, what did we do to help Betty and them girls? Nothing. When Coretta died, what did we do to help? When Martin died, what did we do to help Coretta with them children? Nothing. When Medgar Evers died, what did we do to help Marley with them children? Nothing. When Fred Hampton died, what did we do to help his young queen with Fred Hampton Jr.? Not much. You see what I'm saying? So not only do you give your life, your people cross you off the list, they keep on going. George Jackson, what did we do for his mom after his death? Nothing. We do not take care of our freedom fighters. I know that. I'm cool with it because as I said earlier, I'm born to do what I do. You feel me? So I don't need the thanks of the people. As long as my ancestors smiling down, I'm straight. But to get back to your point, I don't want to get like Martin and Malcolm where I get so exhausted from the threat of death that I just wish it come now and end it all. You see what I'm saying? I believe Malcolm knew he was going to die that day. That's why he told Betty to come with the girls. He knew it. I believe King knew he was going to die the next morning. When you listen to that speech the night before, I've been to the mountaintop. He knew. They knew. And they were ready to go. You see what I'm saying? I don't want to get to the point where I'm so tired of being threatened that I'm basically hoping for it to happen so I can go ahead and get this over with. I don't want to get there. So for me, I don't think about it. I take my security precaution. Whenever I speak, I got security. If I think it's going to be some shit somewhere, I got security. Sometimes I use the Black Panther Party, Fred Hampton Gun Club. I got private security around. When I need them, I need them. But when I don't need them, I don't either. Because I don't ever want to be seen with security all the time because that becomes part of your public image. Now, if I'm walking down the street, Southside Chicago, Dr. Umar got a security, he looked vulnerable. You feel me? I like the image I have in the streets. I'm known for walking into the hood store just like this. You feel me? And people like, oh shit, Dr. Umar just walked into the da-da-da. And they taking pictures and going like, I love that. When I hit the store in Chicago, walk through a block in Detroit, you know what I'm saying? Going to the ghetto Miami. I love the love that I get being an everyday brother. I believe that's why I get the love that I get. Mm-hmm. They don't see me with no bougie shit. Mm-hmm. I'm better than you shit. I don't leave the lecture till I take every picture, sign every book. Some dudes, you got to pay for the meet and greet. Mm-hmm. You got to pay for a meet and greet. I remember somebody called me up. They said, Dr. Umar, you coming to tell, you know, such and such was here. He made us pay $50 for the meet and greet. Such and such was here. He made us pay $100 for the meet and greet. Such and such was here. He said he'd take the first 20 pictures and books, but that's it. Not me, family. I've been doing this for 13 years? Internationally, 25 years, my whole life. I ain't never took $1 for no picture. I ain't never took $1 to sign no book. That's part of this. You come see me, you waste your time to come see me because time is precious. So if somebody take 2-3 hours out of their life and come spend it with Dr. Umar, I owe you that. I don't care how long this line going to be. Sometimes my picture line might take more time than the lecture. Lecture might have been 2 hours. Pictures might have been 4. Sometimes here in Chicago, it's been like that. Lecture 2 hours. I'm still 12 o'clock at night. They're trying to push me out. The Herald of Washington said, Dr. Umar, you rent it till 11. Listen, I'll pay the extra time. I got 50 more people. They came here to see me. They standing in that line. I'm not sending them home because I don't know if I'm going to ever see them again. They don't know if they're ever going to see me again. So just bill me. But I'm not sending them home without seeing me. And sometimes I got to get on my security because they be ready to go. All right, this is the last person. Ain't no last person. If we got to go outside, I'll finish signing them outside. I've done that here in Chicago. I remember one time at one of the churches, they had to leave. Pastor said, we got to go, Doc. And guess what? It was cold as shit outside. I went outside and they came out there with me. And I was out there for another 2 hours in the cold, taking pictures and signing the book because the power is with the people. My power is from the people. I'm nothing without them. They my power base. They made me. They built that school. You see what I'm saying? Without the people, ain't no FDMG. So I would never separate me from those who gave birth to me. Me and the people, one and the same, indistinguishable.
One more topic I just want you to address before we wrap it up, because you are passionate about education. I just want to point out that the low-income students in 3rd through 8th grade in Chicago public schools are meeting proficiency at lower rates than students district-wide. And according to the stats I'm looking at, when it comes to reading, the low-income students reading is at an 18.7%, whereas all students is at a 25.9%. Low-income students' math proficiency is at a 10.7% versus all students at 17.5%. How can we improve our educational system for low-income students in Chicago public schools?
Couple things. Education in Chicago will never work for black children because the only way you guarantee white privilege for the white kids in Chicago is to make sure the black kids can't read, write, or count. Let me say this again. Public education in America will never work. It will never be fixed. It must be broke in order to guarantee that the white kids will always be in charge. Do you see where I'm coming from? This is not a mistake. It is not an accident. This is done on purpose. Every school district is a plantation. Every school district is a plantation. You got 5 schools that are highly successful. Y'all got some in Chicago. Some of the best high schools in America, in Chicago. But that's it. Everybody can't go to them. Most of them are plantation schools where kids are barely learning. You see that? It's designed to be like that. The bourgeois, the smart kids, they draft them into the high schools because these are the ones that the power structure are going to use to oppress black people later in life. Everybody else go to jail or to the cemetery. You see how that works? Schools will never work for black kids because that will threaten white domination, white rule, white control. If you properly educate a black boy in Chicago, you just put him in position to take political, economic domination from the white male. Do you see that? Most of your teachers in Chicago are white. Chicago, one of the most segregated cities in America. You think these white racist women whose grandmothers are the same ones who fought against your grandmom going to school with them? You see this?
Right.
You think they're going to come into these schools in Chicago and properly educate your kids? You're out of your damn mind. White people want Chicago back. And if they want to take Chicago back, they got to make sure the black kids can't compete with the white ones. There's 6 stages in the miseducation machine. Miseducation, they intentionally miseducate. Special ed, they misdiagnose them with reading disabilities, ADHDs, conduct disorders. They put them in these separate and not equal classes. Inferior education. Psychiatric medication. Here comes the Adderall. Here comes the Concerta. Here comes the Metadate. Here comes the Ritalin. See this? Now you're so doped up, you can't learn if you wanted to. Then your next stop is what? Juvenile incarceration. Oh, he don't know how to act. Put him in juvenile hall. Put him in a discipline school. You come out the discipline school. Now you're dealing with psychological frustration and alienation. You mad at the world because you was a regular kid who just goofed off a little bit. How the hell I get kicked out of school? Now your pants are saggy, you're smoking weed, you're doing crack, you're joining the gangs, you're self-destructing. And that take us to stage 6, premature extermination. 1 out of every 4 black males will be murdered in the city by another black man. Kill them before they grow. And most of them will be murdered by who? Another black man. So you got miseducation, special education, psychiatric medication, juvenile incarceration, psychological frustration, premature extermination. Black boys want to learn. Black boys can learn as well as any white boy. In fact, black boys can learn better. I'm going to say it. We are intellectually superior. I'm not saying that to be arrogant. I'm saying it because it's the truth. Dr. Amos Wilson, fellow Garveyite psychologist. I think he's the greatest black scholar of the second half of the 20th century. He wrote a book called Developmental Psychology of the Black Child. I recommend that everybody read it. Dr. Amos Wilson found the research from white people that they threw out. They wouldn't publish it. And guess what the research showed? Black babies from birth to 5 outperformed every other child on assessments of intelligence and functioning, including the Chinese, who we think are so smart. Black children are more advanced than other children. White people kind of admit this, but they don't admit this when they tell you black kids grow faster than other children. Black children develop faster than other children. Well, if all growth of the body is controlled by the what? Brain. If the growth of my body is controlled by my brain and my body is growing faster than everybody else, do you know what that also means? My brain develops faster than everybody else. Black children are superior to everyone else. But check this out. Once we get into school, once you start kindergarten, your IQ score will go down every year you go up in grade. I'm going to repeat this because I need you to hear what I said. Once you start kindergarten, your average IQ score for a black child will go down every year you go up. Do you know what that means? The longer we in public school, the dumber we become. The black boy can learn as much as any other child. The problem is he's being forced to learn through somebody who don't like him and can't stand him. White women don't like black people. White men don't like black people. So you're asking our children to exceed when the person in front of the classroom doesn't have a natural investment in their future success. You see that? And then they want our boys to act like girls. Boys are not girls. Well, he don't know how to sit still. He ain't supposed to sit still for 7 hours. You go to school at 8. You leave at 3 o'clock. That's 7 hours. You can't sit still for 7 hours. I can't sit still for 7 hours. You expecting that from a 3-year-old in preschool, a 6-year-old in kindergarten, a 9-year-old in 4th grade? Girls can sit still because when girls go through puberty, they get tired. When their bodies start developing into making them mothers, they sleep. Girls get tired. What do boys do when we go through puberty? We want to run, jump, tackle. We just want to hit something because we have testosterone. You don't educate a child with testosterone the way you educate a child with estrogen. But the schools don't care. They know the science, but they don't care. They want him to sit there like a little white girl. And if he can't, we're going to pump him up with drugs. We're going to tell his mom he need to go to special education. And when special ed and drugs and juvenile detention doesn't control him enough, we'll just send him to the Cook County Jail. This is a war. As far as I'm concerned, the miseducation of black children in Chicago should be treated as a human rights abuse and a hate crime. The miseducation of black children in Chicago is a damn hate crime because they're doing it on purpose and they know what it leads to. If you can't read by the time you finish the 4th grade, there's a 75% chance you're going to spend at least some of your adulthood in jail. Sure. That's a fact. Sure. So they're making sure they can't read to fill up these private prisons that your governor of Illinois is building in counties all over the state. They know what they're doing. The future for black America under white control is extermination and incarceration. If black America don't want that to happen, we got to do something different. It's on us. It ain't on the white man. It ain't on Jesus. It's on black people to save black people. If we don't, we might be exterminated. The choice is ours. I'm confident, though. I know we can win. And that's why I still travel and speak. Because people say, you travel all the time. Every time I look, you travel. Listen, I breathe hope into people. Ain't too many people can touch people the way I touch them. That's the gift I got. Frederick Douglass is my cousin. He had that gift. Our family, we're great orators. You can listen to my cousins. We all have it. It's in the blood. You see that? I'm not the only one. I'm just the one who ended up being prominent. But all of my family, everybody's a great orator. Okay, I remember listening to my cousin Shanika. She's an ancestor now. She spoke at a community Stop the Violence event in North Philly. I was spellbound when I heard my own cousin speak. We only a week apart. A week apart. Rest in peace. I said, she's a better speaker than me. I was born to use my voice to raise the consciousness of African people. And so if I'm not going somewhere to speak, I don't feel like I'm on my job. Am I tired sometimes? You damn right. We got the event tonight on the migrant crisis. I would rather be in my room eating some of the Chicago food. You understand? But I'm like, you ain't spoke to the people in Chicago in a minute. You got to go give them that energy. As a woman pulled me to the side one day, she said, I need you to tell you something. Take care of yourself, because you heal people when you talk. That's what she said. I never forget it. She said, you don't just talk, you heal us when you talk. So you got to make sure you take care of yourself. I'm only saying all that to say, not to pat myself on the back, but to say I'm on a special mission. I'm not special. I'm no different than nobody in this room. I'm on a special mission, and I need to guard it from opportunists and others who would take this sacred work and pollute it and turn it into something for their petty benefit.
Yeah, for sure that. It's been a blessing talking to you this afternoon. You know, we had been in communication for several months. I was really trying to get you here, so I'm happy we were able to make it happen. Like I stated in the beginning of our interview, you know, we do a lot of interviews like drill related. We talk to a lot of, you know, guys from Chicago. So this type of conversation is something that we rarely get to have. So we're all grateful. You know, we all
And I got to thank my Chicago family for riding with me for 13 years. Every September 18th, I celebrated. That was the day I came here and did that interview with Brother Dawa, Public Access TV. It changed my whole life. It all started here. Of course, I got to give my shout out to New York, because 6 weeks later, they were the ones who took that Chicago interview and circulated around the world and brought me to where I am. So I want to say thank you to all my day ones from Chicago who've been with me since 2010. I'm going to see everybody, you know, tonight. They're not going to see that part probably. But nonetheless, continue to support the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. Thank you for all the donations I've gotten from Chicago over the past 9 years that we've been doing this. Continue to send your donations. Hit your Cash App, $FDMG School. Beware of the fake links. Make sure you get the right link, or your PayPal, which is paypal.me/FDMG Academy. Or you could go to drumarjohnson.com to make sure you're hitting the right link. School is almost done. We got 2 more inspections: fire department inspection, L&I building inspection, and then we're going to have our community grand opening. I want Chicago to be in the building. We're going to have to set up a bus or something, but Chicago is too important to who I am and what I became to not be represented in Wilmington, Delaware, 20 minutes from the Philadelphia International Airport, when we finally cut the ribbon and unveil the school of the future. So thank you, Chicago. If you need to reach me, my number is public. It's been public for 18 years since my first trip I went to Africa. Please hit me up if you need me, especially if you need a consult for your child. 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858. And remember the words of the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey: without confidence in yourself, you are twice defeated in the race of life. Without confidence in yourself, you are twice defeated in the race of life. With confidence, you have won even before you have started. Black Power.
DJ, you go crazy.